Hi everybody, welcome to today's stick mobility class. So today, as we go through the drills, if you do start to cramp or if you notice that there's some pain, we want to encourage you to make sure that you stay out of those ranges of pain, and if you're cramping, to slowly ease off the tension or come out of it, the drill, a little bit slower just to make sure that you're okay. So we're going to start to work with some of those intensities and ramp them up as we go along here, and I'm going to walk you guys through all the drills. So for some of the structures for today is we're going to start with some flow, a little bit of kayaking, kind of go through some rotations, and for the strength portion of the workout today, we are going to do some lower body type of strengthening exercises such as the Dumpy Squad, a Cossack Squat, but again, if these movements are particularly painful, reduce your range of motion or reduce the intensity that you're moving at, okay? And so I'm going to use a cage, has more like a door frame here today, and I have a pad for later on in the class in the stretching portion, and I have two 6'6" with me today, okay? So I'm going to start off with one 6-foot stick here, okay? And we're going to do the kayaking, that's what we're going to start with, but we're going to do a dynamic version of it here. So with the 6-foot stick, I'm going to reach out as far as I can to the ends of the stick here, okay? So the stick is going to be in contact with my chest. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with my left foot forward, right foot back, right foot's only back just a little bit. We're going to do some dynamic kayaking here. And so I'm going to start with my right hand up, okay? And what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to start to push my right hand forward and down and back, and my left shoulder blade is going to rotate around my rib cage, and I'm going to bring that left shoulder up and over. I want to make sure that I'm keeping my spine staying forward here, okay? As I go through the range of motion, you don't want any rotation in the spine. You just want to stay up tall and keep rowing. Also, notice my speed. Do not go any faster than I am. You want to try to keep the same speed at this point in time. So what we're doing here, we're trying to loosen up the shoulder blades and the scapula, right? Trying to get some freedom of movement in the shoulders. Now what we're going to do, we're going to switch our feet, but we're not going to stop kayaking. So my right foot comes forward, now my left foot steps back. Okay, positioning of the spine is still the same. It's not going to be any different. And I'm on the ball of my foot on my back foot. Make sure you breathe. Don't hold your breath. Again, if being in this position happens to be a little painful for the shoulders, reduce your range of motion. Now we're going to switch our feet again. So left foot comes forward, right foot steps back, still kayaking. Good. Breathe. Switch again, right foot forward, left foot back. Now we're going to increase the speed just a little bit. And now what we're going to do, I'm going to start to add in some slight rotation of the spine. So as I'm kayaking to my left, my spine is rotating to my left. As I'm going to the right, the spine is rotating to the right. Switch feet. Now we're synergistically getting the spine to move along with the scapula as we work through the kayaking here. Switch feet. Keep that rotation. And relax and ease off. Okay. So now we're going to do, we are going to take a horse stance, okay? So I want your feet to be pointed forward, and I want to make sure your feet are actually wider than shoulder width here, okay? I'm going to have the stick on the inside of my right foot, right by the ball of my foot here. My hand is at about face level here, okay? And so what I want to do from here is I'm going to start to first hinge back, okay? So arm is bent here, I'm going to hinge back, and as I hinge back, I'm going to hang. Come down. So now I'm getting a chest stretch on that right side of the anterior shoulder. Then I'm going to reach across with my left hand, get some rotation, come back in, and then come back up. Okay, we're gonna do that a few more times. So keep the grip on the stick, all 5 fingers, don't let your grip come off. Okay, lightly drive the stick into the ground about 15%, hinge back, get that stretch in the chest, reach across with that left hand, and your eyes are looking in the same direction that you're rotating. Bring the left hand back in, come up. Let's go one more time. Okay, drive the stick down lightly, hinge back. Keep that stick to the side. The stick shouldn't be in front. It should be directly to the side. Then reach across with that left hand. Make sure you breathe. Back in, and then up. Good. Now we're going to switch sides. And so again, if this is painful, reduce your range of motion here, okay? So, left hand's up, same height. Going to drive my hips back, get that hang, okay? Hang out there for a second. Make sure you breathe. Now reach across with my right hand, rotate. Back in. Come up. Back to that starting position, okay? We're gonna go a couple more here. Drive the stick down, again 15 to 20%. Hinge. Hang. Really allow those chest and shoulder muscles to open up here on that left side. Take my right hand and reach across. Back in. And up. Good. Gonna go one more time, okay? Drive the stick down. Get that activation. Hinge. Hang. Rotate that to your left, reaching your right hand across. Back in and up. Good. So that's one way we're going to work on rotation there, okay? And so now we're going to take the stick and I'm going to place it behind my mid back, okay? I'm actually going to get back into that horse stance here, okay? Feet are facing forward. So for the purposes of this one, I'm actually going to have my elbows in close to my side, okay? I'm going to grab the stick with my hands facing forward, my palms facing forward here, okay? I'm going to drop into that horse stance here. What I don't want is to be in this position here. Everything stays stacked. Pelvis is stacked under the spine. So from here, what I'm going to first do, I'm going to activate my upper back by pulling the stick apart lightly, 15 to 20%, okay? Keeping my hips facing forward, I'm going to rotate to my left, and I'm going to keep my head facing forward as well. So I'm actually not rotating my head along with it. We get a little bit of cervical spine here as well. Now I'm going to rotate to the right. Still looking forward, that does not change. We're going to start to segment everything in as we go. Rotate to the left, push my right hand forward. You're still pulling the stick apart lightly to keep that upper back activation. Rotate to the right. So now we're going to rotate back to the left, but we're going to start to rotate the hips along with it. So we're going to rotate to the left, push your right hand forward, Now I'm gonna rotate my hips and my head's gonna follow. So now I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna rotate to the right, rotating my hips to the right as well. So I'm getting a challenge on internal rotation on that right hip here, okay? Feet are not moving. Now we're gonna rotate to the left, rotate those hips. Good. Now we're gonna rotate to the right. Come back to center. Now we're gonna start to add in pivoting of the feet. Now as you pivot the feet, you don't want your feet to start to move in or out. Keep them in the exact same place. So back to that starting position here. Pull the stick apart lightly. Rotate to the left, driving that right hand forward. Now I'm gonna pivot my right foot and get further internal rotation on that left hip here. You should be able to get more rotation, more range of motion. Now we're gonna come back, still pulling the stick apart. Do not ease off that tension. Rotate to the right, pivot the left foot. Make sure you breathe, come back to the left. Now pivot the right foot, really drive off that right foot here, okay? We're gonna come back, rotate to the right, pivot off the left foot. Back to center and ease off. Okay, we'll go with feet back in a bit here. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to just working with the rotation of the hips here. And since we are gonna get into some lower body exercises, we are gonna need the hips to be a little bit free. So with one stick in hand, I'm gonna have the stick on the right, in my right hand, on the right side of my body here. I'm gonna have my feet touching, okay, facing forward. I want the bottom of the stick to be angled in towards the line of my toes, about a couple inches in front, not too far back, not too far forward. This creates a natural arm line here. So what I want to first do is I want to keep my shoulder down, arm straight. I'm going to drive the stick into the floor, okay? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring my right knee up. Now I'm just going to rotate externally. So I'm rotating my foot across my midline. Then I'm going to rotate internally. Now my foot touches the stick here, okay? Now I just want to keep that tension, only about 20% tension. Now I'm going to bring it back to neutral and down, okay? Ease off tension. We're going to do that a couple more times. Feet together, shoulder down, drive the stick into the floor, bring that right hip up. Make sure you're keeping that left knee straight. Going to externally rotate first, then internally rotate, push against that stick, back to center, and down. We're gonna go one more time, okay? Drive that stick down, bring that right knee up, externally rotate, internally rotate, push the foot against the stick. Try to keep the knee in line in front. Back to center and down. So now we're gonna switch sides. So what you don't wanna do here is find that the knee is drifting a lot. The knee stays exactly in the same place. The only thing that's happening is you're rotating from the hip here. So if you're finding that your knee's moving too much, reduce your range of motion. So we're gonna get set up in that same position, okay? Hand is about shoulder height. Shoulder down, drive the stick down, bring that left knee up, right leg stays straight, externally rotate first, and internal, back to center, and down. Okay. I'm sorry, I get a little crampy myself here. So, shoulder down, right leg straight, bring that left hip up, externally rotate, hold, internal, push against that stick, only lightly, back to center, and down. Good, one more time. Okay, arm straight, shoulder down, drive the stick, turn that left knee up. Remember, keep that right leg straight here. Externally rotate, bring that foot across the midline, internal, back to center, and down. Good. Okay, so now we work through getting everything warmed up. And so now we're gonna use a cage here, and I want you to treat this as if it's a door frame, okay? And so what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna step inside the cage. We're only gonna need one stick for this strengthening part. And so we're gonna get into the Dumpy Squad, but what I want you to do here is we're gonna change stances as we go along. So we're gonna go from a relatively normal, whatever your normal squat stance is, to a little bit of a wider stance. So we're gonna create a little bit more of a challenge on the hips here. So I'm gonna have the top of the stick in the door frame, okay? Make sure it's secure. And what I want you to do is I want you to go with whatever typical squat stance you tend to go with, okay? So, stick's gonna be in front. I want you to make sure that the stick's in line with your center line. Place your hands right where your belly button is, okay? First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drive up the stick up into the door frame, okay? Right about 60% tension. And I wanna make sure I'm grabbing the ground with my feet here, okay? Now I'm gonna start to slowly push myself down into the squat, keeping a stick in front. Still driving up as you're sitting at the bottom here. Come up slowly. Drive through, squeeze the glutes, and ease off. And so, I want you to keep the speed to my speed. Try not to go any faster, okay? Hands are still at the same place, or where the belly button is, okay? Gonna drive up, and now we're gonna be at 70%. We're gonna ramp it up. Drive up. Make sure you're grabbing the ground with your feet. Now, start to push yourself down. Keep those knees out. Don't let your knees buckle in. Make sure you breathe. Come back up slowly. Squeeze the glutes. Ease off. Gonna go through that one more time here, okay? Now again, if you're starting to get some pain in the knees or your back, we're going to reduce that range of motion or reduce the intensity. One last time. Drive stick up. Grab the ground with your feet. We should be at 80%. Make sure you're breathing. Drive yourself down to the squat. Back up. And squeeze the glutes. Ease off. Okay, so now we're going to move into a little bit of a wider stance here. Now in terms of how much wider, that's going to depend on you. Again, if we don't want to get into those points of pain here, so only do what you can handle. So for me, I'm going to angle my feet out, if I had to guess, a few inches wider, okay? Now my toe angle is going to be slightly pointed outwards here, okay? This allows me to open up my hips more. So, we're going to place the top of the stick into the door frame again. We're going to do the same thing we just did. We're going to ramp up that tension. 60%, 70%, 80%. So, our hands are going to be at the same height, belly button height. We're going to switch our hands here, okay? So from here, Drive up 60%. Make sure you're grabbing the ground with your feet here, okay? Push yourself down into the squat slowly, under control. Keep those knees going out. Hold. Back up, slowly. Squeeze the glutes. Ease off. Good. We're going to do 2 more here. Okay? So, drive the stick up, 70% here. Okay? Make sure you're grabbing the ground with your feet. You should be balanced. The weight should be throughout your entire foot, not on the heels and not just on the balls of your feet. Gonna drive ourselves down into the squat, keeping the knees out. Come up slowly. Squeeze the glutes. Ease off. So you're gonna notice that you're gonna get a little bit of work on that T-spine because you're trying to stay upright as you can here. So that's the point of driving the stick up. Okay? One last rep here. Okay? Drive up. 80%. Hold. Feel those extensor muscles working. Drive down into the squat. Keep those knees out. Back up slowly. Squeeze the glutes and ease off. Okay. So that was a dumpy squat. So we're gonna still use the door frame for the Casa squats here. So we're gonna kind of use that driving up force that we use from the dumpy squat and transition over into this. And so with this, I'm going to start out doing a Casa squat to my left side here, okay? Now, with the alignment of the stick is actually in line with my left hip here when I'm in that position, when I'm in that standing position. So it's not in center line. My center line is actually a little off, okay? Excuse me. So I'm kind of over to the side here, okay? Take as wide of a stance as you can comfortably handle, okay? Your left foot's gonna be angled outwards slightly, okay? Allowing you to get to a achievable position. Of course, we're gonna try to do without pain. We're gonna drive the stick up, 60%. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to drive myself down into that Casa squat. I'm driving my hips down and back. Come back up. And ease off. So your hand height should be at belly button level as well, okay? And again, only go as low as you can comfortably handle. So I'm gonna drive the stick up, 70%, hold that position, okay? I'm gonna start to lunge to my left. The stick is ending up directly in front of me, okay? Come back up slowly. And ease off tension, okay? We're gonna go one more time. Drive the stick up. Lunge to your left. Drive those hips back. Try not to allow them to rotate. Back up. And ease off. Okay, so now I'm going to change my positioning a little bit more. And so my left foot is going to go out wider And again, the same thing we do on the left side, we're going to do on the right side. So this stick is in line with my right hip, okay? Not in line with my center line here. So, switch, make sure you switch hands, okay? Hands at belly button height. So, I'm gonna drive stick up first, 60%. Make sure you're grabbing the ground with your toes here, okay? We're gonna lunge to the right. Drive yourself down, hips back. You're gonna get a stretch on that left adductor too, probably. Hold. Back up. Pushing off that right leg. Squeeze the glutes. And ease off. Okay, we're gonna go 2 more here. Remember, keep up with my pace. Do not go any faster than I am. Drive a stick up. So drive yourself down into the right side. Should be at 70% here. Keep driving that stick up. And back up. Squeeze the glutes. And ease off. Okay, we're going to go 1 more time. First drop the stick up, 80%, okay? Slowly drive yourself down to that right side, drive those hips back. Come up, squeeze the glutes, and ease off tension. Okay, so now we're going to get into a little bit of a core drill, okay? We're going to do a little bit of push and pull. So what I want to do here is I'm going to use, this will be your door frame here, okay? So we're going to have the stick behind, or the stick in a position where it's not in front of, because we're going to actually start with the push here. So we're going to take a horse stance, okay? It's going to be your strong stance here. And I'm going to have both arms at 90 degrees. I don't want to have my arms stretched out. I want to be here. I want to be in tight. So I'm in that horse stance, a little wider than shoulder width, toes pointed forward. Remember to keep everything stacked. So I'm going to squat down a little bit. Pelvis is stacked under the spine. What I'm first going to do from here is I'm going to push with my right hand. I'm going to reflexively pull with that left hand, okay? Or my inside hand, depending on what side you're starting on. Pull with the left. Should be at about 60% tension. Ease off. Now I'm going to go with the pull. We're going to switch in and out of this. So now back into that horse stance. Now I'm going to pull with that inside hand. I'm going to reflexively push with that outside hand. Going to get a little bit of work in the obliques here. Ease off. Now we're going to go back to pushing. We're going to ramp up to 70%. Also, as you do this, you should not be rotating, right? We're trying to resist that rotation a bit, so make sure your hips are staying forward. From here, we're going to push 75%. Ease off. Good. Now we're going to go to the pull. Okay. Get back in a horse stance. Pull with that inside hand. Flexively pushing with the left or the outside hand. Should be at 75% here. and slowly ease off. Now we're gonna switch sides. So whatever side of the door from you were on, now we're gonna flip it, okay? And so, as we're here, positioning is still the same. That doesn't change at all. So horse stance, okay, keep everything stacked. We're gonna start with pushing on the inside hand, pulling with the outside hand. So you're gonna be at 60%. So push. You're trying to create a bow in the stick here. Slowly ease off. Now we're going to go to pull. Okay? So sticks on the other side of the door. Now we're going to pull with that inside hand, push with the outside. Still at 60%. Ease off. Good. Now we're going to go push again, okay? We're going to be at 75% here. So arms at 90 degrees. We're going to push. Three, two, one, ease off. Now we're going to go with the pull. Okay, last one, 75%. Arms at 90. Pull. Hold. 3, 2, 1, ease off. Good. And that's going to be the end of the strength training phase there, okay? So now we're going to get into the deep fascial stretching. And so the pad or pillow or whatever soft thing you have to kneel on, since we're going to be down on one knee in a half kneeling position, we're going to need that right now. We're also going to need the second stick. So, what I want to do here, we're going to start to get into the hip flexors. So I'm going to have my left knee down, right foot is going to be forward, okay? Now, for this one, what I recommend is keeping your front foot wherever it's most comfortable for you. And people who typically have more mobility, more flexibility, have the ability to actually have their right foot forward to get deeper into the stretch. But for the sake of example, I want to have my right foot at about 90 degrees. My back foot is going to be plantar flex, so I'm going to extend that ankle like so, okay? So from here, I want to have the bottoms of the sticks in line with the ball of my foot on my right foot. I'm going to have my hands at about shoulder height. And all I'm going to do from here is we're going to go through a series of activation, okay? First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to drive the sticks into the floor about 15%. I'm going to push my back foot into the floor and then squeeze my left glute. You should be feeling a stretch in the quad probably, especially if you're super tight at quads, and the hip flexor, okay, the front of that hip. We're going to hold this position, make sure you're breathing, okay, deep breaths here. We're going to slowly back off that series of activation. Relax the glute, relax the foot, relax the hands, okay? We're going to go through that again. This time we're actually going to shift our hips forward just a little bit to increase that stretch. So from here, arms straight, drive the sticks to the ground about 10-15%. Drive the back foot into the ground, squeeze the left glute. Now shift your hips forward just a little bit. Okay, you're going to get a deeper stretch here. Now, as you do this, you shouldn't be extending your back. Your back stays neutral, okay? Make sure you're breathing deep, okay? Don't hold your breath. You're gonna reflexively tighten up. Slowly ease off, so come back, relax the foot and the glute and the hands. Now we're gonna get into the adductors a little bit here. So now I'm gonna shift my right foot to the outside of my right stick here, okay? My right foot is still facing forward. My left hip is still facing forward. We're not changing the angle of that. But what we're gonna do here, we're gonna go through that same series of activation. There's gonna be a little bit of a difference here. So I'm gonna drive the hands down. I'm gonna drive my left foot into the floor, squeeze the left glute, but now I'm gonna shift towards that right leg, so I'm shifting diagonally. And now we're gonna start to get into the adductor here, okay, that left adductor. Try to be up tall, keep that glute tight, and slowly ease off. Relax. Okay, we're gonna go one more time here. Okay. Drive the sticks down lightly, 10 to 15%. Push that left foot into the floor, squeeze the left glute. Now shift your hips diagonally towards that right leg. Try to go a little further here if you can, okay? So you should be getting a stretch in that adductor or groin area, okay? Make sure you breathe, slowly ease off. Good, now we're gonna switch sides, okay? So now we're gonna have the right knee down. I'm gonna shift this over and have that left foot up. So that position that we're in, we're gonna do it for the same, we're gonna be in that same position, okay? So one hip flexor might be tighter than the other, so adjust accordingly. So if let's say your right side's a little bit tighter, you can kind of bring that left foot in a little bit more, just so the stretch is not as intense, or simply just don't transition your hips forward when we get into that. So have the sticks in line with the ball of your left foot here, okay? Arms straight, still at shoulder height. So I'm gonna drive the sticks into the ground, drive the foot into the ground, and then squeeze that right glute. Now for some people, this might be a really, really significant stretch, so you can always ease off that tension if it's too much of a stretch, okay? This shouldn't be painful. And slowly ease off. Good, now we're gonna do the same thing we do on the other side. We're gonna slowly drive our hips forward just a little bit here, get a better stretch. So arms straight, drive sections to the ground, drive the top of the foot, or the back foot to the floor, squeeze the right glute. Now shift hips forward just a little bit. Another thing that's common with this is some people will feel less of a stretch in their quad on one side versus the other. So what that typically tends to mean is that the quad on that opposite side may be pretty tight. So just be aware of that. And slowly ease off tension, come back to neutral and relax. Good, now we're gonna move that left foot to the outside of the left stick here, okay? And another thing to keep in mind here is as we're shifting towards that left side, don't let the knee come in, right? The knee should be naturally traveling outwards. So we're gonna activate first, we'll drive the sticks into the floor, drive the back foot into the floor, squeeze the right glute. Now shift diagonally towards that left foot. Remember, don't let your back extend. You want to try to keep your back in check, so keep your glute tight. That's extremely important. We're going to come back out of it slowly. Ease off, okay? Going to go one more time. Drive both sticks into the floor, drive the back foot into the floor, squeeze the right glute. Now shift towards that left foot diagonally. See if you can get a little deeper into it. Hold in 3, 2, 1. Slowly ease off. Good. So now we're done with the hip flexor stretch. We're now going to get into some slap shot here. Okay? So I'm going to take the stick, I'm going to place it behind my mid back. Okay? I want you to take a wide stance, whatever's most comfortable for you. Okay? Try not to go too wide. Again, it shouldn't be painful, so if going this wide may be a little bit too painful, just wiggle your feet in a little bit. And so keeping the stick behind my mid back, I want to have my arms stretched out, and I want to pull the stick apart lightly here. Okay? It's going to get a little bit upper back activation. Then I'm going to hinge and drive my hips back. Okay? I'm going to rotate the right end of the stick towards my center line, place it down, and then I'm going to lunge to my right, driving my hips back. Okay, don't let your hips leak forward, your heel shouldn't come off the ground. Back to center. Now I'm going to rotate the left end of the stick towards my center line, drive my hips to the left and back. Okay? Back to center. Now I'm going to rotate the right end of the stick, if you can, further across your midline. Still pulling apart. Drive your hips to the right. Okay? Remember, drive the hips back, not just to the side. Back to center. Rotate the left end of the stick further across your midline. Lunge to the left. Drive the hips back. Back to center. Come out of it slowly. And we're going to wiggle our feet in. Okay? So, now we're going to finish off a little bit of bow and arrow here. But what I want to do for this one is we're actually going to do it more so in repetitions as opposed to a 6 to 10 second hold here. So I'm going to start with the stick on my right side in line with the center of my feet. Okay? Stick's about a foot away from my feet here. Both feet facing forward, about roughly hip width. Okay? I'm going to have my right hand on the sticker. Take my left hand, and I'm going to reach up over the top with my thumb facing down towards the floor. Drive the hips away first. That's the first movement. Now I'm going to extend my hands out, and I'm going to bring them back in. Keeping my hips in the same position. I'm not changing this here. I'm still staying in this position. Extend the hands out. Back in. Extend the hands out. Back in. Let's do 2 more. Okay. Extend. Back in. One more time. Extend. And back in. Come out of it slowly. Now we're going to switch sides. Feet in the same position. Hand in the same position here. Take my right hand, reach up over the top, thumb facing down toward the floor. Drive the hips away first. Okay? Extend the hands out. Back in. Extend. Back in. Extend. Back in. 2 more. Extend. Back in. Last one. Extend the hands out. Back in. Come out. And that concludes today's class. I appreciate everybody tuning in with us for today, and thank you for all the support. be sure to check out our YouTube channel and subscribe because we're getting a lot of content out and a lot of videos and classes for you to follow there. Also too, make sure to check out the Sig Mobility podcast on Spotify and Apple. Just to kind of tune in. I'll be coming up on one of those podcasts pretty soon here. So check it out, get some information, and kind of get the insight of what people for Sig Mobility like to do. So make sure you check out our YouTube channel. That's where we have a lot of content here. Okay, guys? Thank you. I appreciate it. Catch you next time. Saturday.